if nobody knows what price you're charging, if I run an MFI, nobody really knows what price I'm charging. I don't have to give a whole lot of thought to it. I can be pretty lazy. I can just pick a price out of the hat, and I can make it a little on the high side just to make sure that my staff are happy because we're kind of doing real well on money, and the clients don't really know I'm charging them a pretty high price, right? Now, darn, this organization comes, MF Transparency, and puts up the true prices of everyone in India. And then guess what? In India, then they say, whoa, boy, we're higher than the average. I guess we have to think harder about our price. We're going to lower our price. So transparency of information necessitates better, more careful decision-making by business owners, right?
I think it's great. I have two questions. Mm-hmm. One is, what if the countries don't want to provide the information and data to you, and how would that manifest itself?
Yeah, no, excellent questions. We're a U.S.-based nonprofit. We have staff around the world right now, and we go in, and what we do is we go in and we facilitate this as a voluntary demonstration of what we call responsible behavior, responsible business practice. So I'll give you an example. Last month we went into the Philippines to start, and there are a couple of hundred institutions in the Philippines, and they pretty much all came to our meetings. We had 200 people at our meetings. In Manila, we had 110 people sit in a room for 6 hours to talk about pricing transparency. Now, here's what's I think is very important, is that all those institutions, none of them are showing the true price. They're not doing the Grameen thing yet, because if they said our price is much higher than we said and our price is much higher than what everyone else is advertising, we look bad. So they're all feeling trapped, okay? What we do is we come in and we say, we will facilitate this with you. We'll work with all of you all at once. You give us your data. We'll calculate the true price, and we'll keep that confidential for a handful of months until we have everyone's data, and then we show everyone's true price all at once on a specified date. So then the institutions say, well, that sounds reasonable. You know, we can do this together. We can do together what we are afraid to do alone, right?
That's
we
great.
create that enabling environment and the protection. They give us the data confidentially, and we don't tell anyone their price until we can put it into the market context. So then we say, in 3 months, we say, and here's the prices that all the MFIs in the Philippines are charging, and now you can see everybody's price in the context of the market price. Okay, so that's how we, this is how we get very high participation rates. Again, dozens of years, decades, that institutions have chosen not to tell true prices or been trapped into not being able to tell true prices. We flip that decades of practice, we flip it around in a couple of months and get true prices put up for everyone all at the same time, and that then the vast majority of those institutions breathe something of a sigh of relief. They're doing what they know they should do, which is be honest about their pricing. But we have now created an ability for them to be able to do that without being harmed, like Grameen. So kind of going back to the Grameen thing. On one, it raises question. Oh my gosh, if we actually tell our true prices, they'll look high. Okay, but that's a potential concern for some. But when we go in country by country and we do it for the whole country at once, then we can say this reduces the chance of you being singled out by a newspaper article that claims you're charging a high rate when without knowing what the context of the market rate is. So this rapid conversion, like we did in India, where we now everybody can see everyone else's prices in India. We don't have that in Bangladesh yet, so Grameen's 20% looks high when it's not. Grameen suffered, I would kind of conclude, by being unfortunately in a country that doesn't practice transparent pricing, so their price looked higher than it was, where SKS or anybody in India, you can see now their prices relative to the market, and Philippines in some months, you'll be able to see everybody's price relative to the market. That information in context will theoretically, and I think realistically lead to better decision making.
I agree. I have another question, which is, and this is going to seem like it should be an obvious answer, but it's not so obvious when it comes to banking and microfinance per se. How do you perceive that you transferred the trust sufficient for these lending institutions in microfinance to trust you to facilitate this? How did you create the ground of trust?
Okay, excellent questions. I have some. It's a combination of factors. So I'm personally one of those factors. I've worked in the industry. I've been a leader in the industry for over 25 years, and thousands of people in the industry have been trained by me and use my software to develop their business plans. And in my software, they set their price, and in my software, they calculate their profit. Okay, so they know that I've been for decades here working with them. So to help strengthen their abilities, okay? I'm on their side. I understand their situation, and I'm on their side. Then I am asked by a large group of people to help found Microfinance Transparency. Now, Microfinance Transparency also has a high degree of trust. Not just so it's a combination of me and the institution. Why does the institution convey trust? We have over 700 endorsers, people and institutions that have signed their names saying that pricing transparency is necessary and important, and that we should all be doing it. So when we go in the Philippines, and who are those 700 names? They're the funders, the ratings agencies, government officials. So when we go in the Philippines, and the MFIs themselves, right? So we go in the Philippines and we say, look at all the important people, names you know. You look down that list and you know almost every single name. They're all in favor of us working with transparency with you. So it's you know it's something you should do. Most of you know it's something you want to do. You see that MF Transparency has the broad-based support and endorsement of many hundreds of people, dignitaries, most of them in the industry. And guess who's funding this project? We also have our funding base for MF Transparency is, I think, it's worth highlighting because our money comes from MasterCard Foundation, Ford Foundation, Luxembourg government, Standard Chartered Bank, Citibank Foundation, Deutsche Bank Foundation, and the list goes on. But these are just the names I gave you are serious commercial entities, right? They're saying so. It's not. Here's a way to say it. Our funding doesn't come from some left wingers that think you should stop screwing the poor, right? Our funding comes from commercial institutions that know that long-term responsible behavior includes being transparent about your price. They are obligated by the governments where they work, most of the governments where they work, to be honest about pricing, and they see that microfinance is not there, and they believe strongly that moving rapidly toward transparent pricing is healthy for the industry, and they fund us to help to facilitate that transition to transparent pricing. So when we go in the Philippines, you've got that big long list of important people, let's call them well-known people endorsing us. You've got solid funders endorsing us, and one last thing, we've already done it in 20 other countries, and you're number 21. So when you do it in the 21st country, it's a lot easier than doing it in the first country, right?
That's very, very clear. And now I have one last question for you, and that is, how do you, as mftransparency.org, and you, as Chuck Waterfield, verify that the microfinance institutions are giving you truthful numbers and not a concoction,
right,
so that you're posting transparent figures? What is your verification process like? Talk about it, if you would.
Great, yeah. Way before we even created the Microfinance Transparency, we're brainstorming with the industry. How can, should we collect the prices and publish them? Yes, but how are you going to know that? Literally, we would have CEOs come up and say, I'll give you